Hey, I just want to talk to you about argumentative writing and making sure that everybody knows how to do this next essay. We've been talking a lot about arguing and about controversial topics or uncomfortable issues, and you're just supposed to approach this essay keeping all of those things in mind, considering both sides, but also being so clear in your argument that you can convince someone who has a completely different opinion from you that maybe you have some good points and maybe you're right. So you want to use good logical reasons to convince your audience that your claim, whatever your argument is, your thesis is true or reasonable. Okay? That's from our grammar book. I had asked y'all, or on the syllabus, I had put for you to read this chapter sometime back. So I'm just talking about some things from there. And it's a respectful acknowledgement of the beliefs, values, and expertise of your rhetorical audience. That just means that you need to consider, or you need to just be careful with your tone and don't be condescending and don't be self-righteous. I mentioned that in class, just to try to have a respectful tone that would win people over so much more than coming across as a know-it-all or as just, arrogant or elitist or whatever. Okay, so be respectful. Everybody has an opinion and an experience to bring to a topic. And so we just need to be very careful about presenting ourselves or our opinions in a way that could make somebody upset or angry. It is a good idea to establish common ground. And, if you just think about the two sides, the yes, no questions, and then I ask you to list your opinion and what the other side would say, if you really do think about the other side's point of view, perhaps you could figure out a common ground, an area of compromise, something that both sides agree on. We did that when we were talking about the man who had the flags out in his yard. And, even though it's not something that I would like for somebody to do, and I certainly wouldn't want my neighbor to do that, to have flags like that flying, I would still like to take a moment and think about what would make someone want to do that. What is that person's experience? Again, not saying that I think that person is right, but it also makes me remember that person is a human being and that person has some life experiences that I don't know about. So you can move forward when you establish a common ground. So all of that is just to say to y'all, just consider what the other side is saying. Just consider, that even though I always think I'm right, there might be another point of view I should consider. So you do the same. And so you might see in argumentative writing that we will say, state your claim, and that's just your thesis statement. I've asked you yes, no questions for this topic. So state your claim. Yes, police departments should be reformed, or no, they should not be. That's your claim. It's getting cold out here. I had to come outside because my family's all inside making noise. Anyway, so write down your claim. I asked you to do that for homework the other night, and that's pretty much just your yes or no, your answer to the question. For example, for me, I might say this one: educators should definitely decrease the use of technology in the classroom if I wanted to write a paper about teaching. And then you provide evidence. We talked about evidence in class, and so you want to make sure you are a convincing writer. We read A Lesson Before Dying, and we saw what some lawyers argued. Lawyers are always having to present their claims and present evidence. So make sure you have some evidence and list those. Those could be facts, statistics, personal observations, personal experiences, etc. Talked about these different appeals that argumentative writers try to use, the rhetorical appeals of ethos, logos, and pathos. And ethos is just a way to establish your credibility and your trustworthiness. Just, that you know what you're talking about. And so you don't have to say a lot about that, but you might have some expertise in the field or some experience that would help weigh in and maybe help your argument seem more convincing. Logos is really easy because you can look up examples for that. That would be some facts or statistics. It could be percentages. If you are writing about the necessity of police reform, you could look at that, or you could look at for capital punishment. Is it economically advantageous or not? Some people are motivated by money, so you could use some money statistics to make your argument seem valid to someone else. Pathos, I told y'all in class, pathos is the one that would get me if I know that, if you and I just don't agree. If you could tell me maybe some personal stories or some real life situations, real life evidence and stories that appeal to the heartstrings, then that might make me more willing to listen to your perspective. So just try to use all of those in some way and really think about it. I told you in class, one thing that I've noticed is that students don't think enough about their reasons, and they don't have valid reasons. They use a lot of logical fallacies, like a slippery slope, things that are just not true. They use hasty generalizations and stereotypes, and just things that are not considered good argumentative strategies. So really work on that. See if it's convincing to someone who doesn't agree with you. Okay, and you've already seen that about ethos, logos, and pathos, so I'm going to skip that. Again, for this essay, remember, you are not writing about the article. That is just something that we do in 102. We have to choose topics that somehow spring from the novel that we read in each class, and that's just so that every class is not writing about the same topic. So you're not writing about the novel. I just want to reiterate that. You will include an introduction, a paragraph of concession, your body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Now, as I mentioned, if you want to work in the concession or the opposition within each one of your paragraphs, that's okay if you feel confident that you can do that well. You're always addressing the other side, and that's just, you're not always doing that. I'm just saying you have to do that. It's just a way to say, I know there's another side to this. I know if this thing is a problem, I know there are two sides to it. There are two sides to every story. So what is the other side? Then you move on to your body paragraphs. You will have 3 body paragraphs about your opinion with your 3 reasons. And then your concession would be a separate paragraph, or it would be intermingled within your paragraphs about your claims, your reasons. You also must cite 2 articles, and you could do more than 2, but you are citing articles. So that means when you quote from an article, when you mention something from an article, you better have a parenthetical citation on there, your little parentheses. Have that on there, and have the author's last name and the page number. If there's no author, then you put the first couple of words of the title in quotation marks. And then if you're not using a scholarly article, you might not have a page number, so that's okay. You'll just put the author's last name. Okay, and at the end, you'll include a works cited page. Please follow all the formatting for that, the correct MLA formatting for that. And just remember, that page is entitled Works Cited. It is not italicized, it's not underlined, it's not any kind of weird stuff. And then you double space all of your sources, no extra spaces between each source, etc. Okay, same thing I went over in class. Make sure you show both sides of your topic, anticipate what the other side is saying, 2 articles, cite the sources correctly. Do not ask me how to cite a source, figure it out. You're in college. Look at the MLA guide, look at Purdue OWL. There's also on Google Docs, there's a little tool you could use with a drop-down box about formatting. You just have to plug in the information. So there are a lot of resources there for you. I also printed out pages of an MLA guide for you, so you have all that as well. This is just an example of a concession paragraph. If I were to write a paper about whether or not teachers should use technology or should they allow students to use technology. I just want to show you the beginning of it. This is a way to start it. This will be my second paragraph. My first one is just a short introduction, and then here's the concession. Granted, technology can have educational benefits. So here I'm showing the other side. For example, transitional expression. Google Classroom is a simple, effective platform for teachers to post information and for students to submit work. We use Google Classroom in 2 of my classes this semester, and I have enjoyed the ease with which I can access the course syllabi and other pertinent handouts. In addition, that's another transition. Using Google Documents allows students to collaborate with others remotely instead of face-to-face. We even use Snapchat in one class in order to post our responses to a book. And so here, I'm just telling you that these are some good, these are the beneficial components of technology. But at the end, my face is down here, so I can't really see it. Oh, there you go. Okay, so at the end, but I tried to get back to my point, and I said, while these were engaging activities, they should not take the place of more traditional and successful methods of learning, like reading text, taking notes, and listening to knowledge of an expert in the field. Technology should enhance learning, not replace it. And so that's just my way of coming back to my point of view. So again, that is a concession paragraph. It's not disrespectful to the other side. I'm saying, yeah, there are some benefits. Okay. So as you're beginning your essay, and I know some of you already did this part before the last class, you have your claim written on your document, your practice part where I gave you those controversial issues. But when you put it all into your paper, make sure that you state your claim. That's very simply your thesis statement. So state your thesis. And then you will have your 3 reasons. They will be the topic sentences for your body paragraphs after your counter argument paragraph. Okay. I gave you copies. If you'll look on, it's on the explanation of the assignment, you'll see some sample student essays that I think would be helpful for you to take a look at. Sometimes on here, if I click a link, it might not record it, so I'm not even going to try to do that. Okay, remember, you must have a thesis statement in your paper. You have to have a main idea. You must use in-text documentation. You must have a works cited page that lists your sources in alphabetical order. Make your essay easy to follow. State your thesis. Have topic sentences that clearly connect to the thesis. Use transitional expressions. All that good stuff that you guys already know. Okay, and that's all you have to do to have a fabulous argumentative essay. Good luck, everybody, and I will see you next week. Bye.